weeks ago on Easter Sunday, we were at church and we were talking about just the humanity of Christ and how he was 100% human and how he can relate to us because of that attribute of him. And we were talking about him in the garden, and I couldn't help but think about him sweating blood. And sweating blood is actually a true phenomenon that happens, and I've done some research on it scientifically. So there have been several cases reported of individuals sweating blood, and all of them have one thing in common, and that's impending death. So some of them were cases including the fear of being executed, some of them fear of being raped. One was a London Blitz case, and one was a shipmate that was about to be shipwrecked. And all of these included this really strong sense of fear, which is something that I knew. Jesus was afraid before he went up to the cross, but I didn't know that the actual act of sweating blood occurs after the fear subsided. So scientifically, this phenomenon is called hematidrosis. So heme means blood and drosis means water, so it literally means blood water. So what happens in a sympathetic response or a fight or flight response is our blood vessels will vasoconstrict. That just means the narrowing of the blood vessels to kind of push blood to vital areas of the body and take it away from non-vital areas of the body. And the reason for this is obvious. Whenever we need to survive, our body takes care of us and pushes the body to the important organs and the important parts of our body that need it. And so the actual act of hematidrosis is when the blood vessels have gone from a stark change, or gone from constriction to a stark change of dilation in a very short time. And so whenever the constriction to opening up happens, actually blood is released with our sweat to come out of our body, and that's what we see when we see someone sweating blood. So the interesting phenomenon about this is not that it occurs. Sure, that's cool that it occurs, but it's interesting that it occurs after the stress is gone. And so when we look back in Luke 22 and we read about when the Bible records Jesus sweating blood, it's actually not until after he says, "Not my will, but yours be done." So I just think it's so neat to have this insight into Jesus' mind and to see this full surrender, this full giving up of all of this fear and all of this pain, to the point that he knew he was going to die that night, but he was no longer anxious. He was no longer afraid. And that just shows the weight that we can hold in Jesus' words, that they were true to the point of a physiological change in his body, that we can look up hundreds and thousands of years later and see that this is true. And it's just neat to see how he can relate to us, how his humanity is there. And I've just really loved tying my love for medicine, my love for science, into my love for the Lord, and just seeing this true story of submission and peace, and peace to the point of sweating blood. It's just amazing. So I hope you guys enjoy this. I really, really loved making the connection there and having this scientific revelation as I was studying. So yeah, enjoy and share. Thanks.